Hello and welcome. My name is Xander. Welcome to the ORM Mastery course, Level 1 for beginners. In this tutorial, we introduce the concept of foreign keys, building relationships between multiple tables. Just briefly, for anyone new to this playlist, this tutorial is part of a series of tutorials. You can find the link to the whole playlist in the video description. And then finally, before we start the tutorial, if you liked this tutorial and would like to learn more, please check out our Django database ORM Mastery course on Udemy. The link to the course, which will always provide the best price, can be found in the video description. Course thumbnails may change over time, so please check out for Created by Very Academy. This is a set of tables that we're going to be working with in section 1 of this course. Zooming into the product table here, we can see that there is a primary key. This is going to be generated by Django. That's not going to be defined in our model. And we have a set of fields. Looking through these fields here, we're going to have a number of different types of fields. So for example, the slug here is going to be a slug field. And then we have the updated at, created at, that's going to be a time date field. We have isActive, which is going to be a Boolean field, for example. Now, creating relational databases, we will need to define foreign keys. A foreign key represents or models a many-to-one relationship. So in this scenario, if you're not familiar with databases, here we set up a foreign key between the product table and the category table. So our business case, we're saying that for one product, that should be associated to one category. And then for one category, there may be multiple products. So therefore, we have a foreign key between the product table and the category table. Now, the foreign key acts as a way of connecting, if you like, the product table to the category table. So once we start querying the data, it can make it easier for us to create more advanced queries based upon data that's stored in the product table and the category table. So let's go into the models that we've been building so far. Now, if you have just come on to this tutorial, there is a setup guide at the start of this section. There won't be any reference to this code here. So you'll need to create your own models. There'll be an assumption that you can create your own models. I think it's good practice at this point. I didn't want to leave any artifacts here for you to copy and paste because I feel as though I want to force you to start building your own. So let's have a look at now creating a product foreign key. Now, first of all, we're going to need a category table, right? So let's go ahead and create a category table, category, and we say models, models.model. So we'd give this category a name field. So that's just going to be a char field, right? So let's just make that. And we're going to also, that's it, let's just give it a name. I think that's all we're going to need here. Right, so now we have a category field. We can now build a relationship between the product table and the category table. So let's create a new field. We're going to call this category in reference to the fact that it's going to store category reference. And now we need to define a foreign key. So to do this, it is fairly simple. So we use models dot and then foreign key. And then now all we need to do is define a few different attributes. So first of all, we define the table we want to connect to. And that's going to be the category table. And then secondly, we define what we want to happen if we were to delete any referencing data. So OnDelete equals, and there's a few different options here, which we're not going to go into in this tutorial, but let's just go for cascade, which is more or less a kind of default choice. Let me just briefly explain this OnDelete because it is fairly important. Okay, so let's imagine we wanted to build a product. Now, because we've created a foreign key from the product table to the category table, it means that we cannot add a product unless we have a category available, because every time we add a product, it needs to be related via a foreign key to an item in the category table. Okay, so let's imagine we created a category called shoes, and then we created a product, shoe 1, and then we connected it to category 1. Okay, so at this point, if, for example, we were to delete the category, it would mean we potentially have issues here because we would have products that aren't related to anything. We would have, for example, in the category field here, we would have the ID of the category that did exist, but now it's deleted. So it just is redundant data. So we use the OnDelete to control what happens when we delete any corresponding related categories, in this case, to products that have been associated to that category. So in our setting here, we've defined cascade. So what's going to happen here is that when we delete a category, it's also going to delete any other product that's connected to that category. If you think about it, that's good housekeeping, because if we've got products connected to a category and then we decide not to sell any products from those categories anymore, it just means that we can easily remove those products by deleting the category rather than going through the product table and working out what needs to be deleted. Now, there are different behaviors here. So for example, we could go for protect. So that would prevent us from deleting the category until everything has been deleted from the product table that's associated to that category. So there we have the basics of creating a foreign key. So now all we need to do, what we need to do is let's just go ahead and make migrations. And you can see that what's happened here, because we've added a field that is required, then there's data already in our database, and it's asking us to think about a kind of default value here. So we don't have a default value, so that makes it harder for us to complete this. So we've got two options here. We can either maybe migrate the category table and create a default value here, or we can just go ahead and delete all the migrations, which we're going to do, and then we can just start again. So let's just do that. So I've deleted the migrations and the database. We go for make migrations, and then we go for our migrate. That will recreate the database and all the tables. And now we can go ahead and run Python 3 manage.py and then create a super user. So we need a super user to get into the admin area. So enter on the admin email address, password admin, yes. And then let's restart the server. Okay, so let's go back into our admin area. We should have to log in, yep. So admin, and then let's go ahead and now try and add a category. Well, we need to make sure that that's available in the admin area. So go into inventory, then admin. Let's just build a new entry for that. So that's going to be category. So this is going to register the table onto the admin area. So if I refresh now, what's going on? Okay, let's just restart the server. So now we restart the admin. You can see we now have category. So we are going to need a category here. So let's add a new category. Let's just call this shoes. Okay, and now we go ahead and go over to products and then add a new product. And you can see now we have a list of all the categories. Now, we should really create our string representation to produce something that's actually human readable here. But we're just going to stick with that for now. You can go ahead and change that if you want. So let's just create something here. Age is active, and then we won't include the category. So you can see here, because we have the foreign key restriction, it is required. So we do actually have to assign a category to our product. So let's go ahead and do that. Press save. And there we go. So we now have a product which is assigned to category, which is going to be category 1. Okay, so let's just go through the process then. Because we have set up cascade on delete, let's go ahead to the categories here. Let's go ahead and delete this category. See what happens. So deleting the category would require deleting the following protected related objects. Apologies. So I set it as protected. So it won't allow us to delete unless we've deleted all the products. So let's go for cascade. We may need to update. Oh, we'll be okay. So let's just try this again. So we'll go ahead and try and delete this again, category table. And you can see this time, because we have cascade, it's also going to delete and tell us what it's going to delete, the products. Yes, I'm sure. And now I have no categories and I have no products. So obviously it's very important if you are setting up foreign keys that you understand that OnDelete basic, because you end up losing a lot of data potentially. So just keep that in mind. Maybe if you want to go into the documentation and read about the different options for OnDelete, eventually I will make a tutorial on it, maybe in level 2. But for now, hopefully that's given you enough information to start utilizing and building your own foreign keys.